Hi friends, Prepared Suburbanite here. I know it's been a while since I've put up any new videos, but believe me, we've been extraordinarily busy around here. Everybody's still in good health, so don't worry about that, and thank you for the kind messages, wondering where we've been for the last couple, 3 weeks or so. My apologies for not being motivated enough, I guess, to really get into producing videos, because they do take a little bit of time and stuff like that. But here's the bottom line. Over the last couple, 3 weeks or so, we have invested quite a bit of time and money in making sure that our homestead here is up to snuff. We started having a couple of oddball electrical problems that I really couldn't put my finger on, and we've heard about a local guy right here in our own neighborhood that does top-notch electrical work. So we got in touch with him. He came out and took a look at it, and here's what's going on. Our 3 bathrooms, 2.5, I guess, are all on the same circuit, as well as the exterior plug on this deck. And turned on the lights one day in the bathroom and nothing happened. Turned on the fan, nothing happened. Went upstairs, nothing happened. Came outside, took a look, didn't see anything going on out here. Went to the fuse box, well, the circuit breaker box, and everything looked fine. So I went back to this external plug here on the deck, and I kind of opened it up and looked at it, and the lights came back on. Uh-oh. So explained all that to him. He ran his circuits and did his thing, and he said, not exactly sure, but there's probably a loose wire in there somewhere, some sort of a grounding fault that's causing that to disconnect, and when that whole circuit goes down, it goes down. So he said, I've got to order some parts. I'll be available to come back on X day. And he did. He showed up, did the whole thing, put in a real ground fault interrupter plug on the exterior here, checked all the wires, looking for shorts and all that, checked all the individual receptacles and light switches and all that, and all the bathrooms. Everything looked good. Hopped in his car, drove away. The next morning, go to the bathroom, flick on the light. I don't know, nothing. So come out, start looking around. Go to the circuit breaker box, and the circuit breaker for that particular circuit looked like it was open for maybe just a couple of 1/16ths of an inch. So I clicked it, click it, click it, click it, and I couldn't get it to stay all the way in. So my wife got on the phone with our local electrician here, and he said, I think I know exactly what the problem is. I'll stop by sometime this afternoon, and we'll get that thing fixed for you. So he did. He showed up right on time, looked at it, and he said, the breaker is shot. The breaker is actually broken. There was a crack in the breaker housing, and it just wouldn't allow the breaker to fully open and engage the whole circuit. So I'm not sure exactly if we've got it all diagnosed, but it's all been replaced. So that's been done. Since then, he's given us an estimate on getting a whole new panel box. Now that panel was put in when the original house was built 40 or 45 years ago, and it hasn't been upgraded since. Actually, there were no ground fault interrupter circuits in there at all. None in the kitchen, none on the exterior. And I'm sure that it was code back in 1973 when this house was built, but they just weren't there. So he gave us an estimate, very fair. Showed up earlier, well, towards the end of last week, and spent half a day taking the old one down, ripping down all the stuff, checking all the circuits, rewiring the whole thing, brand new panel box, brand new circuit breakers, brand new everything. He showed us his work, and it was meticulous. It was so neat and tidy. Everything was labeled. What a great job. So this guy really did us quite a favor. That was a 45-year-old problem. We really hadn't had too many electrical issues, all that kind of a thing. So, but I wasn't quite sure. But when I looked at the condition of that box, I realized that it's time to get her taken care of. And I think that's really part of being a good prepper, being prepared for things, is that you've got to maintain your property, you've got to maintain the living space that you're in, you got to make sure it's safe. Yeah, electrical codes change all the time, all that, but it's really our responsibility as homeowners and as preppers to make sure that we've got all the bases covered whenever we get down to it. So the second thing I want to talk about today is this deck that's up behind me here. Now you can see, there it is. It's about 14 by 14, and it's 45 years old, it's as old as the house. And I've noticed over the last couple, 3 years or so, that the structural integrity is beginning to fade. It's bouncy. And some of the support structure that's underneath there is starting to get punky, starting to get soft, and it's absorbing moisture more than it should have. And yeah, we've had it stained and power washed and all that kind of stuff. But when my 50-pound dog can walk across that deck, and I'm sitting at the table there, and I can bounce up and down because the dog is walking, yeah, there's some structural fatigue going on there. So it's time to get that done too. Tomorrow, the work starts. Last fall, we got a couple of different estimates on replacing this deck. This one's 14 by 14. Wanted to make sure it was a little bit bigger. The way they designed this deck is that it's basically square, but the corners are cut off. I think it's probably more artistic than anything, but the corners are cut off, and that reduced quite a lot of space there. So I asked for an estimate on a 16 by 16, got the estimate, proved to be fair. And he was booked pretty much all winter long doing all kinds of different work. Finally got the clearance, finally got the survey taken care of, got the building permit issued, and he's going to be on site beginning tomorrow. So I'll be monitoring the progress and hopefully be able to share some of it with you as time goes by. He says he can complete it in a week. So hopefully this time next week, I'll be sitting on my brand new deck, and we'll see how that goes. Also, we've been involved in getting our garden planted. We've got 36 tomato plants, 6 determinants, and all the rest of them are indeterminates that just continue to grow and grow and grow. But we decided we wanted to experiment with the determinates that only grow a certain height, and we'll see how that goes. Those are, for this year, the Romas, and we use that a lot for salsa. But we've been buying our Roma tomatoes at the local farmer's market. So we decided, yeah, we'll try it, and they turned out to be determinates, so we're going to try determinates this year. We've got all the rest of the stuff planted. The posies are in place for the pollinators to frequent our yard. And so we've got carrots and radishes and beets. My wife planted some dill. We've got cucumbers, a couple of different kinds of squash, peppers, jalapeno peppers and bell peppers, potatoes, a number of other things that probably think of over time, but that's basically it. Now, this is not the ultimate prepper survival garden. We've got six raised beds all together. They're basically full with tomatoes and other vegetables, that kind of a thing. We can get enough to can a couple of dozen tomatoes, a couple of dozen quarts of tomatoes, some additional quarts and pints of salsa, because we've got the jalapeno peppers and the Roma tomatoes, green beans galore, we've got carrots, all that kind of stuff. So we're able to put together quite a bit of food storage out of this. It's not the end-all cure-all, and we do have to substitute and enhance, because this is not going to keep two people alive for a whole year. So if the S does hit the fan, yeah, we're going to have to make the garden a lot bigger in order to continue to feed two of us. And if we end up with family coming here, we're going to have to deal with that too. So the additional food preps that you're involved in, whether it's freeze-dried or canned goods, dehydrated, you name it, very, very worthwhile if you're going to be really into prepping. So let's go take a look at the garden real quick. So in this first bed are the 6 Roma tomato plants. Those are the determinant tomato plants. Planted them, I think, on the 12th of April, and they've done pretty well. It hasn't gotten cold. We're well past our average first frost date here in the northern part of North Carolina, so I'm not worried at all about how they're going to be able to hold up. I expect we'll start seeing tomatoes right around the 4th of July to the middle of July, maybe the 15th or thereabouts. So we'll see how these things go. And the bed next to it are some additional indeterminate tomato plants that I think there's Rios out there. There's some big boys. We've got some cherry tomatoes in those cans out there, the buckets, and another half a dozen tomato plants in that bed on the right. In the bed on the other side is cauliflower and Brussels sprouts. There's a little bed, probably won't be able to see it too much from here, but there's another bed right up in there that's got jalapeno peppers in it. The bed behind that little flower pot right there with the gnome standing next to it is where the potatoes are. And over on this side, we've got our beautiful veggie patch there that's just starting. There's radishes on the far side, carrots, beets, lettuce, spinach, that kind of stuff in there. Just behind there, where that screen rack is there, that's where the cucumbers are going to be. That far bed has got the squash in it there, and in this front bed right up close here is another half a dozen tomato plants. So that's pretty much what we've done for this year with respect to our gardening. So I just wanted to say thanks to all the loyal subscribers and the folks that have sent well wishes and heartfelt comments to us. It really does mean a lot to us as we struggle through day-to-day lives. Every once in a while, it makes you feel really, really good. Sorry about that. And knowing that it does, I want to ask you to continue to provide good, healthy, constructive commentary on these videos and other videos of mine that you watch. In fact, on anybody's YouTube channel, let's be positive. The nonsense that I see from time to time with the really disparaging, hateful commentary, which I don't tolerate, it's really destructive, I think, for the whole community. So let's be kind. This is the Prepared Suburbanite reminding you to be prepared always, and I'll see you all on the next video.